Hello and welcome back to another Stoke Fan TV podcast episode. This is our second of our podcast episodes, and you might be wondering why we've kind of switched to this kind of format. Well, it's a hell of a lot easier. Anyway, you're joined today by myself, Max,
And me, Sam.
and Sam, and we've also got a couple of guests with us again today. We've got Hoppo down in the corner. Say hello, Hoppo. And
Hello.
we've got Dale as well joining us for his first time on the studio show. Hey up, Dale. Right, okay. So today's
No.
show, today's podcast, we're going to be discussing who could be the next Stoke City manager. Obviously, Palak has gone. We know that. We talked about that in the last podcast. But who could come in to replace him? Who do we want to replace him? Right. So I'm going to throw this straight over to Sam because I know he's been doing a little bit. Sam, who's in line to take over as Stoke City boss, mate?
So John Percy from the Telegraph's come out today and said that Steve Cooper and Lee Carsley is not in contention as to be the new Stoke manager, but two have been interviewed, and that's Mark Robbins and David Wagner.
Okay. So what do we think, lads? Anyone else can jump in. Feel free to jump in as and when. Do we like the candidates that we've heard about so far? Obviously, Sam's mentioned there that Wagner's come in, or Wagner, however you pronounce it, and also Robbins is the other one. So are we happy with those two candidates as the front runners? I know Steve Cooper's been mentioned, and there was, I think, at one point you say Lee Carsley, Tony Mowbray, even I think was in the running at one point as well. What do we think, boys?
Be happy with Robbins. That's the one I want. Or Cooper for me, but obviously Cooper's not in the running, and it's got to be Robbins really. I think Wagner's come as a bit of a surprise. I haven't heard about it till today, but it's just typical, isn't it? Merry-go-round. When every single time we after a new manager, we get these names that are dropped in at the last minute, and they suddenly become favourite, and come out of nowhere really. So I'm not surprised that something like Wagner's been linked with the job. But for me, it's going to give it's have to be Robbins. He's proven it. What he did at Coventry was absolutely amazing. Did a cracking job there. Took them lower league. That they were in the doldrums for years. They were really struggling, and what he did was incredible. Got them to the playoffs. Lost out in the final. I think as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did they not get to an FA Cup semi-final as well? I think they were robbed, weren't they? Yeah. So incredible manager. Don't think he needs massive amounts of money to work, but he certainly got a team organised, working hard. They play good football. I always enjoyed watching Coventry when they came up first season. We played very, very good team, play lovely football. So for me, ticks all the boxes. I'm hoping it's going to be Robbins. I really am out of the two, but. I think Wagner didn't do too bad at Huddersfield. I think he did well, got him promotion. So potentially good, but I think for me, out of the two, definitely I like Robbins, prefer him.
Dale, what do you think?
No, I totally agree with Oppo. From day one, from when Palic was sacked, my number one choice, considering that the managers that are available, Mark Robbins would be the outstanding candidate, and just based on what he did at Coventry. His second stint, I think he was there for about 7 years, wasn't he? And, he got him into the playoffs. He got him into an FA Cup final. Some of the players that he brought in, he gets in on free transfers, some of his links from his playing days. And I think that we need somebody now who is of the older generation who needs to come in as a manager and not as a head coach. We need
100%.
a manager. We need Stoke City manager, not head coach. We
I
need
agree.
to let
Yeah.
the person that's on the sideline manage the team, not the people that are upstairs in the stands. We
This
need
is
to
such a
go back to
bizarre
old
thing.
school.
It's such a bizarre thing. I mean, literally, this is so weird. Because I think it was mentioned, it was either on a YouTube interview or on the radio, maybe. I think it was actually during one of the games. They were talking about the fact that we've kind of got a head coach rather than a manager, and therefore John Walters and co, whoever it might be, are doing all the transfers and doing things like that. How can that work? Because I thought before that, yeah, okay, Sam, you mentioned, well, we've got a head coach, but I still thought the head coach was involved massively in these signings. And surely, if you're leading the team on a weekend or during the week, whenever the championship games are, and you're standing on the edge of the pitch, you've got to have total faith in your players, and surely it's down to you to choose them. I can't wrap my head around how this model works with this head
They'll be
coach.
having meetings, won't they? They'll be having backroom meetings in the club where it should be the head of recruitment, head of training, head of the club, head of everyone from the department should get together on a regular basis and discuss things. So technically, where we say it isn't the manager's signings, they should have some sort of input on who we should be getting in at the club.
Surely they should have final say though.
Should do,
Yeah,
because it's
personally, because they're the
buck
ones
stops with them,
managing.
doesn't it? Yeah. Sorry, Sam. The buck stops with them, doesn't it? Ultimately, so for me, about the buck stopped with me, that was my neck on the block. Then I'd want ultimate say on everything: who comes, who goes, and everything. But I just think it's football's changed. It's changed as a game. It's now a business. So hence this head coach thing now, where I think the theory is that it can just concentrate just on the picking the 11, just on the training, rather than having to find players as well. So I think that's where the theory comes. Back years ago, it didn't work like that. It was, managers sort of did everything really, but yeah, it's basically just progression football really.
Surely we should have, as I say, a manager that makes those signings. I mean, it just seems a bit bizarre. I thought it was a head coach, but they still had more influence in the signings. But it's coming out, or it seems to be coming out, through various outlets that hasn't been the case. I like what you were saying, Dale, about bringing in an experienced head. I think that's really important. Who would your choice? I mean, obviously we've mentioned Robbins and we've mentioned Wagner, however you want to pronounce it. We've mentioned those guys as being having interviews, but they're not the only names in the hat. And Stoke haven't announced a new manager for the team as yet. Could there be somebody else who's going to come in and do the role? What do you think?
Depends who's willing to take the risk, really, isn't it? Because the last couple of seasons, you know, the managers that we've had managers in. It hasn't worked. We've sacked him. We've had managers in. You know, we had Schumacher in. Whatever happened, and he ended up getting the boot. And then obviously they've taken a risk by getting Palic in. And it's like, that hasn't worked. Do we keep getting managers with less experience in to try and meet a model? You know, Ryan Lowe's been bandied around. We don't need Ryan Lowe. You know, we don't need somebody of hit like him in this club, because it's not a step forward, it's a step backwards. We need we need an old head now. We need somebody who's got that experience, and it's just because we have got good players and we have got the potential, and with the right manager, they will get the best out of them players. And, you know, it's like you look at some of the players that we've got, you know, Cannon, he is scoring, but there's more you can get out of him. You know, Berger, there's more you can get out of him. Jono's been disappointed this season. You can get more out of him. The defenders, you know, it's an old dad manager like a Robbins or a Steve Cooper coming in would work wonders, and it'd work.
Are you surprised? Are you surprised when, because Cooper's name's mentioned and I've heard that he's out of the running? Are you surprised by that?
He is a quality manager, isn't he? Look what he did with Forest when they were in the Championship. They were bottom, weren't they? And he took them straight up the league, and then he went into the Prem with them. Obviously, it didn't work at Leicester for him. You know, I don't think it was ever going to work at Leicester, was it? But, you know, maybe he's having a little bit of a break. Maybe he's waiting for another bigger club come along, and maybe Stoke's not the right fit. I know that Tony Mowbray's name's been knocked around again. He's not a manager that we need down Stoke, because if you remember some of his press conferences when he was at Middlesbrough, he absolutely hated Stoke. So why would we employ somebody like him?
Well, he's had mixed opinions, hasn't he?
Yeah, I know that obviously he was mentioned about, I think Sam mentioned him in the last video, didn't he? And It was like, but you look at some of the videos that he's done previously, some of the interviews he's done. He's always said he hates Stoke, he hates coming to Stoke, he hates the atmosphere, etc. So why do we want him? We don't need someone like him.
What do you think to that? What do you think to that, Sam? About Mowbray?
I was going on the experience side of things, and he's probably the manager that's on the list that has got the manager on the list with the most experience by far. And he has got a good track record of doing well at teams that are struggling. So that's why I wanted to possibly throw Tony Mowbray into the mix. And he was number 3 on the betting at the time I mentioned it. He has gone down now, but I would still like to see Tony Mowbray. Yeah, he may have slagged off the team in the past, but if he was playing against us, fair play.
Well, he did turn Birmingham into a completely different outfit when he came in. And to be honest with you, I think if he hadn't got ill, I think Birmingham would have survived. And that's why I truly believe that. Because I think they came and played Stoke, and then they beat us. And they came and beat us at the Bet365 with Mowbray in charge. And I was like, man, bloody Mowbray again coming in.
It's looking like, at the minute, number 1 favourite to come is Mark Robbins, according to the bookies. Now, looking onto Mark Robbins' profile on the Transfer Market website, it says that his preferred formation is a 3-4-1-2 formation, which is how we started last night, funnily enough, against Sunderland in the first half.
Yeah.
So was that
absolutely.
possibly a little clue into him possibly being on the radar? We'll see. But we did go out 4-4-2 towards the last half an hour last night, and it did work. And Sunderland changed up as well to compensate. And we'll see about that. But he did get sacked from Coventry this year, and he didn't have a very good record. He had 14 matches and only got 4 wins.
To be honest with you, yeah, you have to mention this. Lads, Hoppo, Dale, what do you think that the last season for Mark Robbins at Coventry, this was just a bit of a glitch?
I think the problem was he sold some US players, didn't they? That, they got rid of James O'Hare and people like James O'Hare's a phenomenal player. Absolutely love watching him. Got rid of a few players, so they didn't replace him, so it was inevitable they weren't going to have a great season. And talk to Coventry fans beginning of the season, the expectancy of that club was promotion. They were going to go up this year. They really fancied it, and so they should after the playoffs and semi-final and whatever. So yeah, there's a massive expectancy. I think, in some respects, he was a victim of his own success. What he built there, the expectancy of the club was huge. You sell your best players, then you're not gonna have the best of seasons, are you? If you don't, especially don't replace them. So I think, to be fair to Mark Robbins, a lot of Coventry fans were angry when he went. He's very highly thought of there. So yeah, he didn't have great starts to the season, but he's got a fantastic record. And I just think he'd be a good fit for Stoke. I really do.
Dale?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You're in agreement?
Yeah, I agree with that, Bo.
Rob,
Sorry. No, I was just going to say, obviously, I know that his records this season isn't great, and obviously he got sacked on the back of it. But like I said, they lost O'Hare, that was their main man. But then they brought in some decent players. They brought in Jack Rodoni from Huddersfield, didn't they? Somebody that I always like to see down at Stoke. He's a midfielder with a good left peg, a set piece man. He controls the midfield. He come in on a free at Coventry. They brought in the lad from Peterborough as well, didn't they? The winger that's quick. I don't know if it was one of them where they brought in players and it didn't click straight away, but four wins out of 14. What did Palic have? 3 out of 19.
Well, yeah. You have to say it was a massive. Well, it was a massive gamble, wasn't it? In Palic, and also you have to argue that since Stoke were relegated, if not when Stoke were in the Prem towards the end and getting Lambert in, followed by Rowett, followed by some of the other managerial Jones, I should say. We've made some very poor decisions, in my opinion, in terms of who we've hired as manager. So this particular appointment right now at the stage of the season and where Stoke are in the league, and with everything that's going on, is vitally important. Surely this is the biggest decision at the club since relegation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've hit nail on the head there. 100% is. For a number of reasons. One, because you can't keep fighting against relegation every season, which we've done the last couple of seasons, really. There's been talk of relegation. Eventually, it's going to catch up. You are going to go down. And for us to go down League One, I think it'd be catastrophic. I really do. So there's that aspect. And more importantly, the fans, the fans are just crying out for us to have a decent season. So this appointment's vital. Get the fans back on side, get the club rocking again. And I think it's the biggest appointment now for a long, long time. Got to get this bang on. You don't
got to get it right. Got to get it right.
It's got to redeem itself now. Got to make the right choice.
Do you think, just quickly, sorry to put in, think quickly they made the right decision in the timing of this? Because obviously we're going to, some people were arguing that Polak needed a transfer window. Do you think we made the right decision? I mean, get this guy coming in, going to get a transfer window, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's sensible, because if he has this transfer window, then you're going to say, well, give him a month or two to play his set. Then it could be bottom three, or it could be like bottom. I just think tactics and the way he's set up just doesn't suit the Championship. So I think he's looked at it and thought, going to have to do it before, get another manager in, then the new manager can have a transfer window.
Absolutely. And I think that it's going to pay dividends.
The only complaint I've got on him for timing is he probably should have done it 2 weeks sooner.
Yes, well, there were people calling for it beforehand. I think, I think the club now, it's the right move to get somebody in with that transfer window. So we were all talking about Robbins. We briefly touched on Wagner. He's been interviewed as well. He did well at Huddersfield, and he got them promoted, and he kept them in the Premier League. But following that, he's not done particularly well. Would we be happy if it turned out to be Wagner as a manager? Go on, Sam, you're shaking your head.
No, it doesn't suit Stoke one bit. It'll be just the same as getting Polak in again, to be honest.
Why'd you say that then?
I don't think the way that David Wagner manages teams is going to suit Stoke. I think we need someone with experience, and I don't think he's got enough experience as a good manager. He hasn't really proven himself, really. Whereas Mark Robbins, you don't be a
got a team promoted to the Prem, though.
You don't be a manager at the same club for 7 years if you're not a good manager. And I think Mark Robbins is a good manager. David Wagner is one of the managers that's part of the manager merry-go-round that's at different clubs all the time. I'd rather see a manager that's proven to be at the same place for 7 years. Fans were gutted when he left. That's what I'd rather have at Stoke. Someone that the fans respect and want him to stay.
Dale Hopper, would you agree with that, or do you think that Wagner make a good manager?
No, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't like Wagner or whatever his name is down at Stoke. No. I just don't. I'm with Sam. I just don't. I don't think it'd be the right fit. I don't think it'd be going forward really. I know that obviously we keep coming back to Robbins, but he's available. He's not going to cost anything, has he? For one,
Would you be happy? Would you be happy with Robbins, Dale?
I'd be happy with Robbins, but what I'd want is I'd want Robbins to be in control of everything, and I'd want him to have the say on, transfers, because I know Johnny Walters is in a role where he does have an input in the signings, like he's the one who found Seko, amongst other players, but I want Robbins. I think it's now where Walters needs to just do what he needs to do upstairs and let the manager do the training, manage the team on match days, and do what he needs to do with the players, sort who's coming in, who's coming out, with a little bit of oversight, obviously, but I think the main control needs to be. And I think that Robbins will be the strong. Will have the strong mindset, and he'll be the right person for that.
Yeah, yeah. Do you agree? Do you agree, Hoppo? I mean, obviously, you wouldn't have Wagner in as well. I mean, no, not for you.
No, bang on with Sam and Dale, really, what they just said.
Right.
So yeah, for me, it's got to be Robbins. I wouldn't be. Yeah, I think it's another gamble, isn't it, with Wagner? He did it at Huddersfield. You know, actually, he did keep him in the Premiership, which is no mean feat. I'm not sure whether he had to sell players or what was the reason he went down and just got found out or they run out of state. I don't really know. It was down to his managerial reasons. But yeah, for me, Robbins just stands out. He's a standout candidate to really just ticks all the boxes.
Yeah.
Like I say. And like Sam just said, for 7 years at a club, you know, even though they weren't having a great season for the fans, still will be gutted. It speaks volumes about the bloke. He always speaks well when you listen to him being interviewed. He's honest. You know, I just get that he's an honest, hard-working manager, gets the respect of the players. And I think he'd just be a great fit for Stoke, I really do.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the longest serving manager in the EFL when he got sacked from Coventry?
I think he was, mate, yeah. I think he's certainly up there if he wasn't the longest, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, we're banking on Robbins then, really, aren't we? It feels like a lot of people might be saying the same. Other names just to mention, get your opinion on. Mentioned Lee Carsley's been mentioned. I think he's down in the bookies as somebody who could come in. Thoughts on him?
Yeah, he's got experience, but I don't know. He's got experience with England, hasn't he? Was he at Derby? Am I right? Was he number 2 under Wayne Rooney? Is that right? I've got that right. I've got that wrong. I think it was he at? He's
not had much managerial experience club level. I know that.
No,
I mean, he's been doing the under 21s or something like that at England and doing a very good job. And when he came in, he was managing the England team. They were playing a completely different style of football. Whether he'll fit at Stoke, I don't know. It could be that the problem is, or what I felt like Polak was doing, was he came in and he had this idea, and Sam mentioned it in the last show, similar to Jones, who comes in, you got an idea of how you want to play football, but the lads you've got at your disposal aren't able to play that style of football necessarily. With all due respect to the Stoke team and Stoke players, I think some of the football that Polak was trying to get them to play wasn't them. It wasn't the way they wanted to play. Yeah. Jones did it with the diamond formation. It just didn't work. And I feel that if Carsley comes in and tries to play Cars ball or whatever they were referring to, it was in England, which is fine when you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold and because he can play right back or left forward, you know, and you've got all these other good players playing and they're Cole Palmer, you know, that's fine, great. But even then, that didn't work at times. England got beat by Greece using it. So I'd be worried if he came in, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think we need somebody with championship experience. But no, this league's completely different. It's so different than anywhere else. You've got to be bang at it every single game. You know, you drop it off 10% in one game, you're going to lose. It's just relentless. So I think the lack of probably championship experience for me wouldn't be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could have said that experience is number 1 on the priority list for the new manager.
Experience is
Lee
number
Carsley.
1.
That's what it says. I've seen it on the internet and it says that experience is number 1 priority and Lee Carsley does not come under that category one bit. He did 2 months at Brentford as an interim / taking on the job until the new guy come in. That's all the only club experience he's got as a manager. Sounds like somebody else to me.
Some people have mentioned get Pulis back in. It's quite funny. Do you reckon people would be happy if someone was to coax him back out of retirement and come do some managing? Would the fans like that? Would that be a good fit? We've all gone quiet.
Yeah, 100%. Go on, Dale. You answer that, but yeah, I think the fans would love Tony Pulis.
Get the old band back, eh? Get Pulis back. Have Shawcross there. Get Charlie Adam back.
Do you know?
Not a fan of it personally.
No. Well, whilst we're on Shawcross, we'll wrap it up with this final bit. Shawcross came in for last night's game as interim, didn't he? And the team I thought the team played very well. Shawcross as a manager going forward, for me, I don't think he's the right. He's not going to obviously stay on. I wouldn't imagine he'd stay on. Got no experience really, but it was good to see the team play well last night, wasn't it? Again, go too far. Anybody?
They played like, the difference was watching them. They played like they were enjoying it. You know, the last few games, you've come off the pitch and they look, I've not enjoyed this. It's been horrible. It's been like going and doing a job that you hate, and a 9 to 5 job. You hated every minute of it. It looked like they knew what they were doing. It was what they were supposed to be doing. Yesterday, it's got completely different. They were like kids in a playground, just going for it, you know, full of enthusiasm, full of energy. And it was just great to watch. It really was. I think that this is probably Palet's downfall. I think he probably tried to overcomplicate things a little bit tactically. He analysed stuff. That, you know, a lot of these young lads at Stoke are still learning the game. Can't overcomplicate it. Sometimes got to keep it simple. You know, I don't know if I've ever listened to old players talking about Brian Clough. One of the things he said why they love playing for Brian Clough was because it was so simple. He simply just keep the game simple. Defenders, you've got 2 or 3 things to do. Do that, you're fine. Midfielders, 2 or 3 things to do. Don't do this, but do that. And that was how it was. They all knew the game. And yesterday, it looked like everybody knew where they were supposed to be, what they were doing. And they played with that enthusiasm, that energy, the running. And they looked like they thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think that's the match.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. Dale, do you think the same?
Yeah, it was completely different yesterday. I think the players had the freedom. They were enjoying it. You could tell that they were, you know, they were attacking. They were playing a higher line. They were getting stuck in. But I think the 2 biggest things from yesterday, or probably 3 biggest things, were you put Shawcross in interim charge. You know, he's respected by the club. He's respected by the players. So you can tell what kind of player he was and the tactician showed yesterday on the pitch with that team selection as well. You know, all them players yesterday played for the shirt yesterday. The fans yesterday were unreal. The atmosphere was how it should be. You know, we've had weeks of absolute dross, haven't we, where, you know, it's been horrible to go there and away. The performances have been shocking. But I think Shawcross yesterday, and I think we've all said it throughout the season, Victor Johansson, he came out with the captain's armband yesterday, and he is the epitome of a leader. You know, he come out with a gash on his arm that he suffered in the last match, didn't he, against Leeds, where he got trod on. You know, he come out, he led from the back, he made some amazing saves again. And Shawcross says that, you know, he is the epitome of what's expected as a Stoke player. And
Absolutely.
Some of them players yesterday, like, you know, Wilmot probably had one of his best games of the season. Berger probably played one of the best games he played for a long time. And it was nice to watch yesterday. It was nice to watch.
It was good, wasn't it? Well, it's good. Sam, you agree?
Yeah, I actually sent in a message to Rob Adcock on Praise and Grumble last night after the game. I said, just to throw it out there, Shawcross till the end of the season, because I was actually impressed. Now, Shawcross has got 2-2 now as caretaker manager at Stoke. And obviously, we might be struggling to pay out compensation to get a manager this season, trying to get into fair play rules and regulations. And obviously, Shawcross is already at the club. Now, it's an option, but I will just say I would love to see Shawcross as manager of Stoke one day, because he's going to be a quality manager, he is, and you can tell.
Not doing so well for the under-21s, though, is he?
All of the under-21s are in the first team.
Good comeback, Sam. Great comeback. Right, okay. I think what we'll do, chaps, is I've kept you long enough from whatever you're up to today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching another episode or listening to another episode of the Stoke Fan TV podcast. This is episode number 2. Thanks today to Sam, Hoppo, and Dale for turning up alongside me, and we hope you've enjoyed the show. So we'll be back more often with these kind of shows. We will still try to do the studio shows as well, but they do take an awfully long time to produce. Hence why we're now on our laptops in whatever rooms we are with our funky backgrounds. Who knows? We could end up doing it from the tropics with some palm trees and an ocean in the background next time. Right, Stoke fans, what do you think? Who do you think should be the next Stoke manager? Let us know in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the video if you're watching, listening on YouTube. And from me,
And me.
and
me.
and
And me over here.
everybody here. Thanks for watching or listening, and we'll see you again soon.